Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of the podcast called Everything That You Wanted to Know About Self-Leadership But Were Afraid to Ask. In this episode, I thought it might be useful to take a deeper dive into meaning. I've talked about meaning before in relation to the so-called protective factors, those things that can perhaps at times make us more psychologically robust and resilient when we're faced with the storms in life, the inclement weather, the inclement psychological conditions, challenges at work, stress, anxiety, maybe something in terms of relationships, whatever. We all go through them, and you may be going through one right now or more than one, and we're all likely to go through them in the future. So when we face those things, it is suggested, and I believe it to be the case, that if we have certain things in our lives, then we're more likely to be able to persevere, to weather the storm, like the protective clothing. These things, if they're in our lives, can protect us, can allow us to function probably more effectively, perhaps more logically, and also it is likely for longer amidst that storm, to solve it, to survive it, maybe even to a degree to thrive within it. So meaning then being one of those factors, it is suggested that meaning is made up of 3 things by a couple of researchers called Martela and Steger. I'll put a link somewhere to their research. This is my take on these research. Their research, sorry. It's my take on what they have said. Also, I'd suggest that because meaning I think it's a very profound area. When you begin to consider meaning, there's a lot of existential loading, if I could call it that, in the midst of considering meaning. And different researchers and other learned people have suggested that we can look at meaning in different ways. But I'm going to choose these 2 researchers, and I'm going to give you my, I suppose, I don't want to say take on it. That trivializes it. I mean, I could say take, but no. Let's say what their research means to me. Maybe that's quite a neat way of describing it. In other words, I've read it, I've thought about it, I've processed it, and here's what I think. And the reason that I'm talking about here's what I think it is because we're all different. And if I were to say, hey, meaning is this, or based on their research, then this is what I have concluded, then that's like telling. And that's absolutely wrong. I'm not telling you anything. I'm suggesting. I'm saying, hey, listen to this. What do you think? Because as I go through this and give you my examples, my interpretation, you may say, didn't quite agree with that. I do agree with this. That seemed a bit wrong. I'd throw all that out. I would accept that. I would add in other things. That's made me think about this in my life. Great. This is what I hope this podcast can do. It can allow you to consider and reflect, which I think is important. So without any further ado, let's crack on and then consider the research as these 2 researchers have suggested that meaning is made up of. And they suggest that meaning is made up of 3 things. Number 1 is coherence. Coherence is about thinking. It's our explanatory style about our existence, about the world, about the universe, about us, about our lives. It's what do we think about it. So for me, here's some of my explanatory style in terms of coherence, the thinking part of meaning. I think we're here for a reason. I don't know for certain where we came from, but I think we came from somewhere. I don't totally know why we're here, but I'll come back to that in a second. And I don't know where we go. I have hope. You might call it faith, but I think we go somewhere. I know some people think that's it. It doesn't matter. End of game. It's over. I don't think so. I don't think that happens. And I mentioned game, and let's talk then about why we're here. What is this existence about? Some people suggest it's a simulation. I certainly think there's intelligent design. For me, that would seem obvious. stark in terms of so many oddities, strangenesses. I mean, fractals, for example, they're mathematical. And why do we keep on finding them in nature? But even if that means a simulation, as in like a computer simulation, but obviously an extraordinarily sophisticated and powerful one, then so what, kind of? Because then where did the simulation come from? And if it's a simulation within a simulation within a simulation, again, turtles all the way down, at some point, one would hope, one would imagine, that there's something different beyond a simulation, that there is a design, there is an intelligence, there is a power. And that's what I think. Again, you could be saying, oh, to heck with that, that's just nonsense, that's just rubbish. Then great. I mean, great. Everybody should be critically thinking and thinking critically and saying, okay, yeah, well, why is it then? If you think differently, why? And then to come back to the other why are we here? Well, I think we're here to make a difference. I think we're here to do good. I think that's what it is. Once you sense that you are here to do good, and no one can really convince anyone to think differently. If they don't think we're here to do good, then they're maybe into chaos. Maybe it's nihilism. Maybe it's each to their own. Maybe it's do what thou wilt, and so on. That's not me. I do not believe that. I think that once we understand, once we have a realization, and that can come through maturity, it can come through just experiencing life a little and considering, well, hold on a second, what is this about? And we can just say it's about consume, it's about greed, it's about pillage, it's about ruin, it's about control, it's about power. I get all that, and I refute it. I suggest that that is not what's going on, or what should go on for most of us. I think most people are good. There's another narrative, there's another thing that I believe, my explanatory style, but not all. Doesn't mean to say we shouldn't defend ourselves. Doesn't mean to say that we should be taken for a fool. But what it does mean is that if we have come to a conclusion that, yeah, I feel when I'm doing something good, I feel that makes a difference. To me, with that knowledge that good is important, I should do good. Because I know it. It's intrinsic to me. Good is important. I sense it when I don't do good, and I sense it when I do. So good is important in terms of thinking style. And then, with that information, with that knowledge, if you want to call it that, or certainly the I suppose we could call it the epistemological perspective that I would think about the world from, then doing good is important. For me, that is part of what brings meaning. So again, in terms of that research, these three particular components, these three particular facets, in terms of my explanatory style, number one, the coherence, how I make sense of it, we're here to do good. Does it mean there's not bad out there? Obviously it doesn't. There are horrendous things happening. Horrendous things. And the other part of my explanatory style, when I said that there's something after, that it is really important for each and every one of us. If we know that good is important, if we feel it when we do good, you, me, those people, then we must do good. It's not enough just to think it. We're propelled, we're compelled to do it. And if we don't, I think that little part of meaning falls away. Because our thinking about our existence suggests that good is important. Yes, we feel it as well, and we'll come on to that, but our thinking suggests it's important, and therefore it is important for us to do that good, and that can give us meaning. It certainly is likely to help describe many of our behaviours, and to not do so robs us of an element of meaning. And if we do good, here's probably the final part I'll say about coherence. If we do good, and we do it consistently, then it's like putting building blocks into various parts of society. It could be community, it could be school, it could be education, it could be the workplace. And those building blocks are ethical and moral. And those building blocks are hugely important in maintaining a structure that we would consider to be good in of itself. Because we can do good, but if we do it consistently, I'm suggesting that we add to the bigger framework which allows other people to do good. We're in a sense paving the way, and we're in a sense suggesting that if we look around and we see more good, it will encourage us to do good, and it will encourage more people to notice when good is not being done, when it is bad, or if you want to call it evil. So, second component part of, or facet, I was going for, component, part and facet, second part, let's keep it simple, of those researchers' suggestion of what meaning is made up of is actually our ability to feel, but they call it significance. So significance is the second part, and it's if we feel, so the significance is the feeling part. Coherence thinking, significance, feeling. If we feel that something is meaningful, then it probably is. So if you think about your life right now and consider those areas within it which are important to you, that you feel you should be paying attention to, that when you pay attention to and you do something in there, that it feels like you have created meaning. My life feels meaningful doing this. Could be, of course, connected to family. Could be with being a parent. I feel that this is important. I feel I want to help my child get towards their full potential. Let's put it that way around. And that can be many things to many people. If you feel that's important, again, avoiding being a pushy parent, if you feel that's important and you do things that help that area of your life, or in this example, your child's life, you're likely to feel that your life is meaningful. Has it mattered? Has my life mattered? Will it have mattered? Did it matter to other people? Did anything that I do matter at all? Again, those existential questions, I think, can be answered as we go along by, did it feel like I was adding something in? Did it feel meaningful? You know, I'm helping out at the PTA to run with a child team, or I'm educating, or maybe I'm coaching a team, and perhaps it's sport, and that feels important, and it feels like I'm doing something which is meaningful. And if you feel it's meaningful, it is meaningful. We get that feedback from the environment, from the universe. And so if you then think so far about what I've talked about, I've said coherence, thinking. What's our narrative style in terms of our life that tells us something about why we're here? And again, I get meaning from thinking about what do we do that's good? What can we do that's good? Amongst other things. I'm not going to repeat all of them. And then the significance part, does this seem to be significant in my life? And if it's significant, it's where our attention goes. If we're not doing it, we might feel stressed. When we do this thing, whatever it may be, get involved in that particular group, talk, communication, study, work, whatever. When we do it, not only are we attracted because we think it's significant, we feel that this was meaningful. We feel that we have mattered. We feel that we've made that difference. We feel that, okay, if I wasn't here tomorrow, at least I did this. At least this was achieved. And in doing this, whatever this is, that gives us that sense of meaning. And again, you begin to see, if I'm here tomorrow, would that have mattered? Would I have mattered? Well, yeah, if I do this, it would have done. It can help with that existential angst also. But that's another story for another time. And then the third part of this research, the third factor, okay, get it right and split the words up rather than trying to meld them into one. The third facet is what I suppose the researchers would consider to be something that you and I may think about in terms of not thinking per se, not feeling as such, but as doing, our behaviours. And this they call purpose. Now, I've said before that I think purpose and meaning are inexorably intertwined, but I've also said you can separate them out. And my take on the research that these couple of individuals have carried out and written about is that purpose definitely can be connected to meaning, and in fact it is meaning in of itself, but it doesn't have to be, and I'll pick that up shortly. So purpose is this thing that we do. What do we do behaviorally that gives us meaning? So let's say we start off with our narrative style, coherence. I think that doing good is important, and I do. Again, you may think about other things. I feel that by helping people, and in particular coaching, mentoring, lecturing, teaching, whatever it may be, I feel that in doing that, I am adding something into the world that is positive. And therefore, it gives me a sense of not only is what I did meaningful, it gives me meaning by doing it. My life mattered. And then, in terms of purpose, I suppose it's kind of, what are we doing to do that? Or how do we do it? What's the process? And we go and do it. It's our behaviours connected with setting goals, connected with why do I get up in the morning? Why did I stay late studying? Why did I get absolutely frozen coaching that sports team? Because that was the behaviour that you were carrying out to help you generate that meaning, to make meaning, to make your life meaningful. So we think about our lives, we think about what's important to us, we think about our explanatory style for our existence. Like as I've said, I've picked one thing out, good, and then we consider how we feel about particular things. So I think that's good. Do I feel it's good when I do it? Does it create some meaning? Do I feel it was meaningful? Absolutely. And then goals aligned to that. You could argue it's a schedule. It's laying out things during the day and saying I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Absolutely. That alignment, that heading towards that goal, heading towards that outcome is our purpose. And so that's a relatively quick canter over that research, and I would encourage you, as always, to read up, to do your own reading, research, read what other people have done, stand on the shoulders of giants and all that sort of stuff, and also to think about this, to consider it. So, in your life, how are you describing it? There are bad people out there. What's your style about explaining it? Should you just say, well, so what? Doesn't matter what I do? Or do you think, yeah, it's important that I do make a difference? Is that what you're saying? And that's what I'm saying. What do you think? Thinking. What do you feel? What areas of your life are significant, that they may give you joy? They may keep you awake at night, worried. So what's significant? And within that significance is likely to be, yeah, I feel that made a difference. I feel that my life it has been something which will benefit others. I feel that was important. I feel that when I did that, I did good, which aligns to my explanatory style. And then, last but not least, making sure that my behaviours are aligned, because if they're not, then I'm missing something in terms of feeling. I might have the explanation for how I think this works and what's important and why I'm going to do it and why I'm not going to do it. I may feel that, yeah, that area is definitely significant and I will get meaning by doing it, but if I don't do it, if the behaviour doesn't align, if I don't set goals alongside that particular thing, whatever that particular thing may be, then my life's sense of meaning, feeling of it being meaningful and worthwhile will diminish. So these researchers suggest we need all three things. And I like that research, and I think we do need all three things. So anyway, have a think, as I've suggested. And for the moment, from me, bye for now.